Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Liam Rose. I'm an author, mentor, life coach, motivational speaker, evangelist, musician, and activist. In this podcast and audio, we're going to be sharing a message. I've been sharing the Spiritually Helping Other People podcast to inspire humanity to go through spiritual change, to learn about Jesus Christ, Jehovah, Buddha, to learn about helping other people, giving back, and making a difference, and to learn about the no self and selflessness. Now, within this audio and podcast, we're going to be sharing an important message which is called Spiritual Enlightenment Comes From Within. So it's very important to learn this within your life, especially when it comes to spiritual enlightenment. So spiritual enlightenment comes from within. You can only change yourself internally before that externally things will change. So all spiritual change and spiritual enlightenment comes from within. So it comes from within you. Your psyche and your psychological mind goes through a change. So how do we gain spiritual enlightenment and how do we go through a spiritual change? We gain spiritual enlightenment by doing the 5 spiritual practices. So prayer, meditation, mindfulness, walking, journaling. If we do the 5 spiritual practices, we then gain spiritual enlightenment and spiritual freedom and spiritual liberation. But this comes from within. All spiritual change comes from within. So if you do want to go for a spiritual change and change your psyche and your psychological mind, this will have to happen within you. Spiritual enlightenment is a spiritual state where your mind is clear from suffering, pain, and adversity, and the challenges and difficulties of your past, your present, or your future. It's a way of living where you're more free, you're more spiritual, faithful, and truthful, and you're able to live life the way you want to live life in your own way and in your own terms. It's a way of changing your life from the self to the no self, and a way of actually understanding that spiritual enlightenment is freedom from the self. Because when you gain spiritual enlightenment, there's no more self within you. You have discovered and transcended the self to the no self. So it's so important to go through the process of spiritual enlightenment. Spiritual enlightenment can transform all of your life, because once you're spiritually free and spiritually liberated, then you can live your spiritual life purpose and spiritual calling. But the important thing to learn and remember is spiritual enlightenment comes from within, so it has to come from within you. You'll have to make a choice and decision to want to go through a spiritual change. Now, if you made that choice and decision to go through a spiritual change, you may experience some suffering, pain, and adversity in your life that happens to all people of all backgrounds, all genders, races, ethnicity, demographics. But you will learn that the suffering, pain, and adversity can be transcended into freedom and spiritual liberation. You don't always have to live in suffering, pain, and adversities for all of your life. So it's so important that we realize that spiritual enlightenment comes from within. It comes from when you've changed yourself internally, and then once you've changed yourself internally, your external life will change. If you change your psyche and your psychological mind, which is very important to do, then you change your life. And if you change your life, then you change your actions. If you change your actions, you change all aspects of your life and your behavior, mentality, personality, and characteristics and qualities. So basically, it's so important to go for a spiritual change to find spiritual enlightenment. Any human being can find spiritual enlightenment if you go on the journey of spiritual change. So it's so important. And then once you find spiritual change, which is the freedom that comes from within, then you can actually start doing the levels of helping other people, giving back and making a difference, which is the 5 levels of helping other people. Level 1, volunteering. Level 2, jobs, careers, employment. Level 3, business and entrepreneurship. Level 4, faith and spiritual. Level 5, spiritually helping other people, you helping other people. So the spiritual enlightenment comes from within, and you're the light and the source of inspiration for others. If you have gone through suffering, pain, and adversity in your life and gone through a lot of challenges and difficulties, you can be the source of inspiration to others and the light for others. But you have to remember the spiritual change comes from within, and the spiritual enlightenment comes from within. So go on the journey, change yourself, transform yourself, make a commitment to want to go through a spiritual change. Okay, thank you for listening now. Take care now. Bye now.